Hi everyone, I'm Frida and I'm back with another video. In this video, I'm going to show you how I made this cloisonne enamel hummingbird pendant. Let's get to it. I started with preparing the base. This is going to be a square pendant and I'm going to fold up the sides to give it a nice frame. I marked everything and the next step is going to be cutting out the square. I'm also cutting out the corners, that way when we fold up the sides they're going to fit together nicely. Here I'm using my saw to cut the corners out and I also file them and try to make them fit perfectly. My husband made me this tool which is going to help me to score along the lines. So that's what I'm doing here using my hammer. Basically I partially cut the material and this way it's going to be really easy to have a nice straight line when I'm folding up the sides. Here I'm already doing that. I turned the piece upside down and then folding the sides towards the grooves. I was able to do two sides on the bigger block and I have a smaller insert which I could attach to my vise and I finished the remaining two sides this way. This was the insert in my vise earlier and now I'm using the same tool to even out the bottom of the square. When it was done, I drilled two holes, cleaned the surface and sifted a layer of black enamel on the back. I fired it and I went ahead and applied the clear coat on the front. I fired this off camera also. I put the base aside and I started on the wire work. It's also the part of the process to figure out what you wanna make and draw your design. I spent a couple of hours with that. This time my inspiration was the upcoming spring season. The flowers are ready to bloom and that means that the hummingbirds are going to appear and I can't wait. We have a lot of ocotillos and the hummingbird loved the ocotillos, so I decided to tweak my design and swap out that tulip to a cluster of ocotillo flowers in the corners. So cloisonne wires are flat wires and they stand on their edges. I formed them with my tweezer and little pliers and I put them on a sticky tape to make them stay put. These are silver wires and I don't like to e-nail them because then they become so soft that it's hard to form them. You can make nicer curves if they're a little bit more springy. I'm really happy how the wires turned out, so it's time to put them on the base. I'm using glue and a tweezer to do that. This process sometimes gets difficult. You have to have steady hands because with a wrong move you can mess up your whole work. I did this in one go, but you can divide this part of the process up and fire it several times until all of your wires are placed on the pendant. I fired it off camera. During the firing, the base coat melts, so the cloisonne wires are going to get stuck in it. This is going to prevent them from moving around when you are applying the first layer of colored enamel. These enamels are vitreous enamels and I washed them thoroughly in distilled water before applying them. The point of that you wash out the fines which can make the transparent enamel murky. I use a paintbrush and a scraper to apply them and a lot of water. I let the water carry the enamel particles to the corner of these little cells. I made sure that it's dry and I fired it on 1400 Fahrenheit for 2 minutes. Now it's time to do the second wet packing. I've chosen a lot of bright colors. I wanted the hummingbird to really stand out, which I managed to accomplish because actually the bird turned out a little bit darker than I thought. When it was done, I dried it and fired it off camera. Enamel shrinks during firing, so I ended up applying 2 more layers of enamel. I did that off camera. The last step of this process is the sanding. I'm using diamond pads and a lot of water to do that. We smooth out the surface and make the wires all visible because enamel sometimes goes on them. Here I'm using a finer diamond pad and after this I'm going to use polishing pads also. Enamel loses its shine during the sanding process, so we fire it again to get the shine back. I fire it a little bit shorter at the end for 90 seconds only. So this is how it turned out. I really love the sky. The bird turned out a little bit darker than I thought it will, but I think it still looks great. So if you like this project and this video, please like, share and subscribe, and see you in the next one. Bye!